Hi, this is Kim Pinkney and welcome to my channel. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. Working on two side characters. I brought out a template so that I can kind of do their heads relatively quickly. So, it doesn't look like I pasted on here, so let me get back to where I grabbed the heads. I could probably use this one. So I'm going to grab the heads off of this guy right here. Now, I got this template from Art Pose Pro. And in this one, you can do both men and women. And I'm going to take like the generic template of this guy's face. What sucks about this program is that you can't change the face. Like, you can't change their expression, you can't open their mouth, but you can tilt their head, and things like that, which makes this really super helpful when I'm trying to capture a head in a certain position. So this template, it just kind of like reminds you of, like, if you turn the head like this is how much of the eye that you'll see, how much of the ear on that side you'll see, and how, like, some of the muscles work, and then you just kind of adapt it to the way you want. And I've found that this has saved me a lot of time and aggravation and source images. So what I did is I basically got the person into the pose that I wanted, and then just downloaded it and then just spun it. And then when I spun it, I was able to capture the image, the positions that I want, which is basically a turnaround. Let me get out of this. And then once I've saved it, I just went ahead and opened up the file and pasted on in. You just come over here, insert file, and you just go into the file that you want, and it's this beast right here. And I usually just pick the ones that don't have the background behind it and just paste it right on in. So I did that like 5 times to get like a complete turnaround, or at least enough of a turnaround that I would use in my comic. Now with this, I'm just going to focus on their faces because I usually do the bodies differently anyway. And you could do the same thing with women. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so I don't mess this one up, I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to select it and then duplicate. That way I don't mess up the original, because it's a pain in the ass to do all that. Okay, so I'm going to pop on into this one, and I'm just going to merge these layers together. And when I do a turnaround from a template, I like to be able to edit that one particular one. So I usually keep them separate, but for this purpose, I just want to have their heads. And when I do them all at once, I think it's a big time saver. Let me copy. And then I'm going to come over to my gallery. And what I want to do is I want to put both heads on the same, or both characters on the same sheet here. That way I can just keep coming to this sheet and I'll be using this one. Alrighty, and hi Tatted Hearts. Okay, so just to show a little bit of progress, I had been working on, I had done this one as a character sheet, and you remember what the generic guy looked like. Let me paste him on in. That's the generic, and then this is the evolved character. So, and I'll just keep working on him until I'm happy with the way he looks. And I'm just doing his head in all the different positions that I had set up for my thumbnail. And I had been working on the captain here, and he resembles The Rock and then not resembles The Rock. Like, one or two people who like look like somebody who looks famous, and sometimes they play it up. Well, I wanted to kind of make this guy a little bit more fun, just like The Rock is. I wanted to kind of throw like a Bride of Frankenstein type of thing in his hair, kind of like he's a Harry Potter fan, so And we'll probably change the name from Harry Potter to something totally different. And yeah, the male body is very strange, but I like it. Tatted Hearts made a comment. So anyway, so I basically, the thing that slows me down the most with doing some of these is rendering out the head. The body is not a real big problem, but the head is like time consuming. Because not only am I trying to keep it in my style, but also keep the proportions, and it's just time consuming. Doing the clothes takes little time. So what I did is I took the head from this that I started working on, and I was working on this morning, and this is from like a template, and of course the body's going to be covered up, but I get an idea of what I want with the character. Also, this allows me to play with it without like taking a lot of time. So let me show you what it looks like when I was working on this. Here's the replay of this. So here's the generic guy, and I had drawn an initial image, and I'm like, I'm not so sure if I like that. So I decided I was going to go ahead and color up the guy, and I'm like, you know what, just to stay consistent, I need to color everybody. So this gives me a chance to color everybody all at once, and then manipulate the face and the body. And the way I do that is I also toss an outline around. Like right now you can see an outline versus no outline compared to these two. And then I pretty much just go ahead and do my drawing. And I would draw it onto the model here, obscuring the previous image, and just kind of throwing in my own stuff. And then I started thinking about this. I'm like, I could probably do a different type of cartoon from this. And I'm like, but I think it just gives me a quick leg up. And then I started doing my this happened really fast. Let me stop it for a second. Now the body's one way, and then I took the liquefy tool and just kind of bulged him out a little bit. So like from here to here, because the template is not the template, but the version of the Pro body is not, the Art Pro Pose body is not perfect. So there's that, and then there's that. And I used the liquefy tool to kind of just give him a little bit more buffage. Popped up his arms, popped up his chest, and just kind of emphasized the parts that I wanted. I even gave him a butt. Like popped his butt out more. You see look at the booty, no booty, yes booty, no booty, yes booty. So anyway, so you can manipulate your model the way you want, or you can just trace it. It's up to you how you want to work it. But it's just a lot of fun to kind of manipulate it the way it's like molding clay. Now, one of the downsides that I found is that if I don't color it all at once, sometimes they have different color tones to it, and you got to manipulate that. But I found a way to put an outline onto each of the characters without having to hand draw it. But it still looks better when it's hand drawn, because even the outline is not perfect, but at least it's there. And I use the difference layer in order to do that, and it just gives it a nice outline. Now there's another way of doing the outlines, and it gives the same effect as the difference layer, but I like the difference layer, doing that with that one. It's just really quick, and I can outline anything that's like by itself, the outline of it. I can't do the inside of it with the outline, but I can do the outside of it, unless whatever's inside is on its own layer and by itself. Absolutely. No, I'm not going to liquefy the bulge. That's not going to even be seen. It's not that kind of comic, darling. I wish it was, but it's not. I have to keep telling myself, this is not that kind of party, Kim. This is not that kind of party. But you don't have to feel like you're restrained by what you see in the model. You can manipulate it the way you want. So this guy looks like The Rock, but not The Rock. passing resemblance. Okay, so I took this edge right here, the back side of this guy, and I started working him on page 9. It's my page 9. And I took a couple of the images, and it saves like a wicked amount of time if you've already got the heads done in that position. So I'm going to go ahead and do a time-lapse replay. For those of you who weren't here when I was doing the thumbnails, I took the time and just put all the words on, but I put them on their own layer and hid them. The only downside to that is that I can't manipulate the text. Anything that needs to be shortened or lengthened or truncated to fit into a thought balloon, I'm going to have to retype it. But that's okay, at least I got it on here. Now this one called for 5 panels, and I might end up, depending on the words that I have to throw onto here, because he's very specific on what words go with what panel, will determine how things are going to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the artwork now, and then I'll manipulate the text to fit the squares. Like if there's like very little text, I can make the panel smaller, but if there's a lot of text, I can make it bigger and make something else smaller. Just make it work. I can even overlap if I need to. Like there's an instance in one of the panels, like 1, 2, 3, panel 4, down here where he's looking down over them, where they both chime in "yes sir" together. So I'm going to make like one thought balloon or speech balloon and put that "yes sir" in there. And then there's this one image where he's walking out, and I found this picture of The Rock that looks freaking amazing, so I'm going to use that there with him looking over his shoulder at them. Instead of this particular panel, it'll be like a close-up of him. There's a lot of repetition that the author had put into this, and I'm like, I think it could be done a little bit better. Repetition is good in sometimes, but other times it's really super boring. So I'm going to try to put a little bit into it and try to show him that it might be better to do it my way. So right now it looks like this is what's being drawn. Now because I have a limited amount of layers, sometimes I'll do my work in a whole nother screen, or a whole nother sheet. I don't know how to I don't even know what to call it. A whole nother project size, whatever, and then I'd bring it over. But this is what I was working on yesterday, and I found that if I do these characters all at once, I can stay better consistent than if I work it and then come back to it and then work it and then come back to it. I monkeyed up and put it on the model, the color tones on the model, when I wanted to put it on a layer above. So I figure the captain's gonna be wearing a white shirt with dark gray pants, black belt. I gotta make the belt a little shinier. And this is what the back of his head looks like. And then the picture of The Rock where he's got a kind of like that look. Like, y'all listening, right? And this is another one of those instances where he's just like talking to them. But I want him looking more down at old boy down here. But I'm thinking before I alter his eyes that I'll put the other character in, William here. He's in the text, he says that the guy looks like he's looking into his soul, basically. he kind of makes William a little uncomfortable. Okay, so with this one, I wanted him looking at this paper, but before I change his eyes and make him look down, I want to make sure that I've got everything up. I might even turn his eyes so that he's looking in William's direction, because he's giving him like the side eye. Like either he doesn't trust him, or I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe he expects more from him. I don't know. But he doesn't look at the chick. And I'm wondering if that's part of, if that's by design. Now, since I didn't have the head designed in this position and it's a top down, I might be able to manipulate this particular shape so that it fits that 3/4 aiming down. And I was in the midst of doing that before I came on. So I'm going to see if I can do this. And to give him like a 3D, more of a 3D effect, I'm going to kind of warp it a bit. Just kind of put it out. And then I'll add more to this. Yeah, warp has like become my best friend in some respects. It works in some places. You do advanced mesh. And that helps me bring things in a little bit more. Pop things out. I might be able to move that nose. 3D, but no 3D. Okay, and for anything like that needs to go into the distance. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Oop, that was cute. Okay, so I'm going to puff his lips out a little bit with the liquify tool. Just kind of move things over a bit. It's just, I hate drawing things multiple times. Now because he's at 3/4, you're going to see more of one side of his head than the other. And because it's kind of warped, I'm probably going to fix some of the areas. There we go. Like I'm bringing this in a little bit more. And you want to use this tool quite sparingly, because you'll get that warped, too much of a warp. I probably could have saved more time by just drawing it out, but it's like it's already completely rendered. So let's go ahead and add the back of his hair. Let's see. Oh, and I decided I was going to use, I was going to give him, what's it called? Like a fade. Like in the back of his head. That looks kind of tight. So I have to keep in mind that at his temple is where his hair like goes from solid to like the fade. So like I'd have to do the same thing here. I can warp it a little bit to try to make the forehead come out more. So let me go ahead and do it up. Let's see. Now I use charcoal 6B compressed for like 4C hair, and that's like ultra curly lamb's woolish type of hair, kind of like what I got. Let's see, and we'll see a little bit more of the top of his head. Let me bring that down a little bit since this is such a small picture. Now with this being done the way it is, I have to bring this into my character sheet, so I have that in case I need it for another occasion. So before I move too far forward, I'm going to copy, go to the gallery, and I'm going to paste that bad boy right here. And so now this is available for me whenever I need to do a head at that angle, or if I need to use it on one of these bodies here, I can always just pop that thing on, make a bobblehead, bam. Let's see. Now it is a little bit out of focus because it was such a small picture, so I'd have to come back in and just kind of clean it up a bit, but I ain't worried about that right now. Same thing with William. Let's see, I don't have him from behind or extreme 3/4. I could use something like this right here, or one of these guys right here. Let's see, he's going to be looking at a different angle. We'll try this one. So I'm going to do the same thing, grab him, get on that layer, select it. I didn't do his hair, which pisses me off. I should have done the hair. Kim is half-assing it. Okay, so go ahead and copy. Go to gallery. And, I mean, did I stop and do his hair? Yeah, I didn't do that. Once I render it onto the page, then I'll just take it and put it back on there. But since he's a main character and I'll be drawing him a lot, crap. Page 9. Okay. Okay. I'll be definitely doing that. So let me see. Paste. We'll flip it horizontal. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to like redraw it. Okay. No worries. Just need to change. I need to see. And wait, I might be able to use it here. Right here, or right here. And then once I have like his head, I can do this in like different expressions. And that's another thing. When I was doing this guy right here, I took this one right here, this particular image right here that I was working on, and he went from being worried to here. And what I did is I basically used the liquify tool found under this little wand here, and I popped his cheeks up. I opened up his jaw by taking a sample and putting it on another layer, and then gave him teeth and gave him a smile. And let me see, let's see, where was that? Here we go. Now I was making a whole video on how I did this guy, but ain't nobody got time for that. But if you are interested in doing it this way, here we go. And so as I'm working, I'm using my color tones. This guy has more of a wider head, so I widened his head, gave him his mustache, gave him his expression, added a couple more positions because he's going to be looking at one of the characters in a certain way. And you notice how I'm doing each head almost at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but like one right after the other. That way I could stay consistent instead of leaving and coming back. And you see his mouth will open and close a couple times because I have them on different layers. Like tiki tiki. Okay. So you can almost make an animation out of having things on different layers, but this is that kind of program. It's like you have to redraw the wheel on this program. If only you could work in layers. The animation part uses your layers for like a traditional animation. It's not like Flash where you can have like a layer of just the mouth, a layer of just the eyes, and things like that. But anyway, I digress. So I pretty much edited the model, adding my impressions of what this guy's going to look like, his eyebrows, his hair type, and I just realized he's got the same hair as the captain. Shoot, I'm going to have to change it. Well, the captain has more of a high top. Alrighty, and that's basically that. Yeah, so I'm going to do his hair a little different. I just got to figure out how I want to do his hair. Maybe give him more of an afro. I don't know. Okay, maybe braids. I could do that too. Okay, yeah, because there's no braids in this one. Okay, so that is that. Now drawing this took like a couple, I think it took about an hour, hour and a half. Whereas drawing all those guys, all 5 of those guys at the same time, maybe took an hour and a half. So if you are under the gun, use your tools, use what you can, use what you have available to you. The way I see it, there's no cheating when there's money on the line, and there be money on this line, bro. Okay, so actually, no, it doesn't. 4C hair does not take hours to dry, because I have 4C hair, and no, it doesn't. It is thick, though. Yeah, I think we'll redo the other guys with braids. I want them to look at him like he's, you know, like he's, you know, oh, you're a black guy, you got nothing else better going on, so you had to beat your woman, and, you know, this very beautiful woman type of thing, and, you know, they just gave him a hard time in the interrogations. Okay, so we got his head going in that direction, and this is what I mean about doing the body. A lot of it can be done with just doing the colors here. Let's see, how many layers do I have? I'm going to eventually start merging layers down. Let's see if I put that above. And I drew on top of this again. God dandruff. Okay, hold up. Because I was working on doing the shoulder holsters. Right here. Okay. Oh, okay. This goes with the shirt anyway. There we go. Let's see, what is this? Okay, that's William's head. So I'm seeing what I can merge together to save myself layers. Let's see, this one is about to be deleted as soon as I'm done drawing it. Okay. So we'll work him real quick. Now, it's good to have source images so that you can stay, if you're drawing realistic, drawing from your brain can be completely different from what reality looks like. So like, this is drawing from my brain, and this is what reality looks like. Kind of a difference, just a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of the reality. Let me get my favorite brush, and I'm going to use the soft brush, and I'll bring it down to maybe right before it turns into 2. I wish I could control it better, because this is 1, and it's really tiny and thin, which is awesome. And then a little bit more of 1, it's a little softer. Okay. So I'm going to work on this layer. So I'll put it back right there, and I'll use my outline brush when I am absolutely done and ready. And I'm drawing the body so I know where to put the clothing. And the clothing will be a little bit outside, about this much off the body. And because he is such a strong man, it's going to be even tighter, a tighter fit. Let's see, I don't want to put that on this layer. Let's see, on that final layer, I think I'll just do the clothing itself. This one will just be another, let me clean up my sketch. Let me clean this one up. That way I can use this. We'll do it this way. And that's even the wrong, what is that line? And this all stems from me not having, what's the word, confidence of line. If I was more confident in my lines, I'd just like rip it out. Okay, let's try it with this. Do one more sketch on top of this sketch to clean it up. And now looking at reality here, I think this is called, I don't think this is called the trapezius, maybe it is. It comes down. And his shirt is going to kind of bunch up right here. I'm just going to take it slow. This should be on 10. And that's about the size that the average size of my outlines. Kind of bring it out more. And I wanted his shirt to kind of pull too. Alrighty, now I want it like a Harry Potter inspired tie. Okay. Now he is resting a bit on his desk, so his package will probably be about like right here. And bring his belt here. I think his belt should say something or have something from the house. Put this beneath everything. Let's see. That way I don't have to really worry about it too much. Alright. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and select the areas where his body is. Oops. And freehand. Clear. And I'm going to see if I can just sample right off of his face instead of going back and getting his colors. And this is not my final outline. I'll save that final outline for when it's final. And I can move on to another area. Let's see. Okay, let me just go ahead and fill that in, and that's all of his exposed skin. And then what I see in reality, I'm going to go ahead and take that. Take the highlights from here. Now this one I don't think was a completed image. Okay. So I'll probably take a little bit of, well actually I don't need to sample any of that actually. Let's get the shirts. Now one of the things I like doing is taking my scribbles and stuff and using them as shadow. So I think what I'll end up doing, let's see, I'll bring these together. Let's see, do I do this one anymore, number 9? Let's see. No, I don't. Okay, so bye-bye. And that just gives me another layer to play with. Let's see. And I usually just do a selection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on its own layer so that it'll go over anything that's like bleeding outside of my lines here. So I'm going to be working on this one. And since I don't have the selection tool up again, I'm going to hit modify and hold this down. And that brings up my selection bar again. I swear that changed my religion once I discovered that I could do that. I'll just color this whole thing in white. Alright. I'm just making sure. Pull that down. If you deselect it, then you lose your previous selection. That sucks. If you hold it down, you can add to it. Let's see, I need a brush tool. Use favorites. Now, Photoshop, Procreate has it respects that there's other pixels around. So like when you drop a pixel down, it's like, oh, I better not mess with that. Which is kind of cool in its own way. Okay, so I'm going to do the pants real quick. And it's going to be about this tone. We'll keep it kind of smooth in some places. And then I'll use a bit of the black to kind of bring this out a little bit. So you get like the pockets that kind of bulge out a bit. And he's definitely got a belt. Oh, the belt's up here. Eyes up here, Kim. Eyes up here. And we'll make that black, but we'll make it shiny a little bit. I still can't decide what I want to do to his belt buckle, so I'll just save that for another time. Let's see. Drop that so I can manipulate everything else. Now I'm going to take a lighter shade of gray. Maybe this gray is pretty cool. Yeah, let's see. And I'll add that here. And I think, let's give his pants a little bit of a texture. Let's see, something kind of, I'm just going to have to remember that this is the texture. Okay, whoops, okay, that's not bad. We'll see how it looks. I think I should save that for like a jacket or a tie. Yeah, we'll just... And it's so tiny, we probably wouldn't see the texture anyway. Okay, we'll go back to favorites. Just bring a highlight to where it bends. Kind of maybe a little bit more of the darker tone so we know which side is overlapping more. Okay, let's make his hair a little bit bigger. Charcoal 6B. There we go. And we'll kind of do his little fade on the side with, this is a brush that comes with this program. That's the Touch Ups brush, Stubble. Just make sure he's got some stubble here. Oops, too much. And then along the edges here, I'm going to try to do, is it safe to bring it down? Yeah, let's go together. Okay, let's see. Put it on the sides here. I got alpha lock on, so I shouldn't be going outside of him. Now for him, I'm going to use another Appropriate brush, the rough skin brush for his skin. So most of the skin that I do has 3 shades. You've got the basic flat shade and 2 secondary, maybe 3 secondary colors. I guess that wouldn't be secondary colors, would they? One's a highlight, and it'll be like a little bit brighter than what you see here. So I'm going to take like this off tan type of color, and that would be the white part that you see here on Reality. But I'm not liking how it's looking here, so I'm going to use the other color instead. I'm going to use that skin tone. Yeah, that is pretty much this highlight. Okay. And I can go even lighter if I want. Okay, so I'm going to use this tone as this darker tone. So wherever I see like the darkest tone is where I'm going to add this. And then for the deeper, darker tones, I'm going to use a linear burn. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so this one's going to come above that. Okay. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to create a linear burn layer. And I'm going to drop the opacity down to 30. And that's where I'm going to get like my flat shading colors. And that just makes it pop out a little bit more. Let's see. I'm going to add that dark tone here. And the more shadow, the more it looks like his arms are popping out more. Now you don't have to make a selection. You can always just use your brush and freehand it. And that gives it a soft tone. I like doing that on the skin. Or I'll make a selection and then soften like the edges of that selection. Just kind of doing this sort of thing. And I can kind of use that same soft brush here, but I want to use more of a deeper blue. Let's see. Maybe this might not show very well here. Yeah, it comes off like a purplish blue. It's like burning the blue. Let's see. Let's do this instead. That's not a bad look though, but I want to kind of stay consistent to what I have for this guy right here. So I'm going to use this. Oops. I'm going to use, I gotta get rid of that light blue there. And instead of being it on the linear burn layer, I'm just going to put it on the main layer. Oops. Carefully. No, I don't want to select. Okay. I'm just going to take it slow. And all these like hard lines, I'm going to go ahead and probably go back over them. Now I'm taking the folds from reality and kind of applying it to what I see here. But since it's something going over, I won't have like every definition, but I will kind of try to keep the shadows so like it won't be too dark around this edge because there's light coming from the window to his left, or his right rather. And then I'm going to use like this darker gray that's in here for like his darker shadows. So like where you see it darker, where the hand and the muscle meets, I'm going to go ahead and add the dark tone. But before I do that, I'm going to, whoops. Like you can't liquefy on an alpha lock layer, so I got to take that alpha lock off. And I'm going to pop his muscle out a little bit more. And get these guys to kind of come closer to each other. And this, I gotta take a quick break, but for those who are just joining, I'll go ahead and do a quick replay so you guys can see how we got to where we are. And I'll be right back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Go ahead and hit that. And you know, I just realized that as I was taking a look at this, I was going to say draining the weasel, but that's too much information. It's not much of a weasel, is it? I got to think of the equivalent beast. that I would be draining. But anyway, regardless, I was just thinking that I failed to show the other characters, which is the whole goal of today. So let me get to, as soon as it's done with this, I'll go ahead and get to the other characters and just kind of creating their sheet. And let me bring out their inspiration. That's one of them. While that's doing its thing, I can put my shoes on. Now I'm thinking of using SketchUp to design his office, but it might just be faster if I just do it myself instead of trying to teach myself a whole nother program. Okay, I'm going to speed this up so that we can get to the other characters. Grab my time-lapse replay. There's supposed to be a little area I can grab. Whoops, there we go. Alright. And there she blows. Okay, so getting back to the other characters, I've set up the template, or was I in the midst of setting up the template? I was in the midst of setting up the template. Okay. Trying to remember where I put the guys. Not there. How about here? Yeah. I think it's the other set. Damn, where'd it go? Because I know I took one and merged it together, but you know what? One is as good as another. Let's see. Did I put it here? Oh, okay, it was in here. 8.5 by 11. Were you the one? You were the one. Okay. Let me make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm on that layer. We're going to select with the rectangle tool. We'll just get them like at the shoulders. What I'm going to also be doing is, because this template has highlights and shadows, you know, it's got all that, I'm going to try to use that as well in the creation of these characters. Come on, you. To the gallery! Okay, so this is going to be generic number 1, and we'll duplicate that, and that'll be the other dude. And there we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys is, you know what, I'm going to make them bigger. Let's see. Just a little. Alright, so I made that one a little bit bigger. Duplicate it. We'll lock this one down. And we won't lock this one. We'll move it down. I could have done, you know what? Let's see. I'm going to get back to one layer. Okay, so this first layer here, I'm going to show you guys how to do an outline around it. Alright, so on this layer, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to change that to difference. Now, there's a lot of videos that will show you they don't know what to do with difference. It gives you the silhouette. And then what I do is I duplicate that, and I've got an outline. So I'm going to merge all three of these layers together, and now it's just one with an outline. It's not necessary, but it adds a little something to it. Plus, I'm going to go over it again with my own. Now, the better, in order to get like a thinner outline, or a cleaner outline, you'll want to clean it up first, the edges first, because it's just giving you whatever the edge was. You can extend the outline by, we'll duplicate that. We're going to go to the adjustments tool. We're going to use Gaussian blur, and we're going to adjust it to about 4.0. 4.0 is pretty decent. Okay, and then we'll take black. We'll take that black there, and then we're just going to fill this bad boy in. I don't think, yeah, it's not going to fill it in completely if you do it that way. So I'm going to take my biggest brush. This will let me do it and stay in the selection. No, it's not. Okay. Let me go back. Okay, so with that selected, I'm going to take this brush and just kind of, or let's see, we'll take a harder brush. Harder brush, harder. Let's see, we'll do Studio Pen and see if we can get that nice and hard. Get it nice and hard. And what it's doing is it's filling in a bigger version of your guy. Just kind of fill it in. It's still going to be fuzzy around the edges, but it's definitely going to be darker. And I have to do that with everybody. This is just one way of skinning the cat. This is also one of the ways that you can do the extruded lettering. So if you're ever catching one of those type of videos with the extruded letters, this is pretty much another way of doing it. Just making sure it's all nice and dark. But because it's a fuzzy Gaussian blur, it's still going to be a little bit bigger, but it's still be fuzzy. Just making sure. Fill. Okay. Then we'll drop that, and we'll duplicate that. Doesn't look too bad. Okay, so I'm going to change this and get the difference. And duplicate that. And we've got our harder outline, or bigger outline. And that's like with the 4-point. So if you're ever interested in getting a bigger outline around. And the Gaussian blur did give it kind of cleaned it up a bit, but it's still kind of fuzzy. But it is what it is. Okay, so I don't need all that. I'll just delete it. Okay, so I got my outline. And usually I have a color chart. We'll duplicate this, so this will be two different dudes. And we'll just lock this guy down. My source guy, let's see, I don't really have his face not smiling. That's fine. He'll be Mr. Smiley. We'll draw him smiling. Okay, so source image. I'm gonna get a base skin tone. I've got two ways I can do it. Let me try a different palette here. We'll set this one to default. Okay, so I can either drop a tone onto, oops, the wrong layer. Okay, we're on that layer. We'll do selection. Okay, so I can either, did it select it? Yeah, okay. So either I can drop a tone onto this layer. I can drop a tone onto this layer. Select. This should, why isn't it? Oh, duh, because it's selecting the wrong one. This is the beast. Okay. And so I don't confuse myself again. There we go. And we'll unlock. And we'll lock this one. Okay. So, and just to confirm. Can't count. Okay. Okay, so we're going to select this layer. I can either drop directly onto it and I have that kind of skin tone, or and theoretically you'll want to drop it onto each one of those. You want to stay consistent. So consistency is the name of the game. Or I can create a new layer, and then with that same selection I can do that, and I can use the multiply tool. It does pretty much the same thing. Or I can use one of the other types, layer types. Linear burn gives me that tone, and that seems almost kind of close to his skin tone. Not really, but the one I like using is like either soft light or hard light. One of those I kind of like using. But instead of using it on the color, let's try it the other way. You can either use it on the color itself, and it'll give you this, or, let me put this back to normal. You can bring that beneath and use it here. There's overlay, that's soft light, and that's hard light. I kind of like hard light with it underneath it. So I got that one going, and I'm going to merge those two. And just to be, come on, there we go. Oh, I didn't do all of them. Okay, so we just select, and on this layer we're going to drop the color on to all these guys. Not a bad tone. And then I'll merge these two together. And to give the other guy like a different skin tone, we'll duplicate him, we'll unlock him. Let's see, we'll delete that. Let's see, we'll take the selection of this one, select, give it another layer. We'll put it beneath, well, I want to do, let's see, on this guy, let's see, instead of it doing here, instead of creating another layer, I want to just go ahead and drop it straight on into this guy, and that'll give him a completely different skin tone. And you kind of see the difference, whichever one that you prefer. One guy's going to be a little bit lighter than the other. Okay. Alright, so for this guy, we'll make him this guy. And what I basically like doing is just using this as my my little palette, and I'll just kind of emulate what I see, things that I want to keep, things that I don't want. I'm going to lock this guy down so I don't accidentally work on his layer. And I'm going to create a hair layer for this guy. And I'm trying to think, do I want to do a buzz cut, or if I want to keep the same? Let's see, and we'll make him kind of like a redhead. How about that? We'll give him kind of like that color hair. And another thing I like doing is creating their character sheet. So I'm going to create another one here. I'm going to make a selection. This will be hair. Let's see, what was this before? That's the skin, base skin. Okay, I kind of like the tones here, the shadows here. It kind of works for his skin tone, so we'll kind of keep that color too. Make another square, and we'll just kind of sample his shadows. His darkest shadow, I'm just going to go ahead and just make a little dot inside of this. And then I like labeling these too with text, but I don't have a lot of time. I got like less than 5 minutes. Okay. And now I want to do kind of like a pinkish or peachish skin tone. I'm going to go ahead and take this tone, and I'm going to kind of make it a little bit pinker. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. And that's for like maybe some of this pink tone that's in his skin. So I'm going to take that, and instead of making another square, I'm just going to have that here. And then I want to highlight the lightest portion of his skin that I can get without it being completely white. Let's see, that could be the highlight that's there for that, and then we'll throw kind of like an off-white in there. And how do I get that to work? Let's see. Go ahead and take that. We'll get I use a skin brush. His skin, he's going to be kind of young, so he's not going to have the rough, scaly skin as the captain. And I'm going to hit the darker portions. And I'll show you how he will be smiling. We've already kind of got a good highlight here, but let's see. I'll kind of come into that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to make him smile. His lips are kind of reddish, so I'm going to come into here and maybe go a little bit darker. Maybe about right there. And I'm going to just kind of put it at the corner here on this one right here. I didn't want to color on this layer, but that's okay. I can always just sample it and move it. Okay, so that'll be like his lip tone. And so what I'll do is I'll, freehand his lips, and when you smile, your mouth opens and your jaw kind of opens a bit too. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of his jaw, probably about like right here. And I'm going to copy it and paste it. So his original jaw is still there, but now his, oh, hold on. Got to be on his layer to do that. Trying to do my little finger sweep here. There we go. We're going to cut, copy and paste. If you cut and paste, then he won't have a jaw. Okay, so we're going to kind of bring it down with a warp, just a little, about like right there. And I'm going to hit advanced mesh and just kind of make the corners come up and, oops. And I can erase what I don't need. And your lips will be one crazy smile. There we go. And then, let's see, kind of move that around. He's going to have more of a rounded jaw. And I'm just kind of blending in what I have here. I'm also going to move his eyes up a bit. But before I do that, let's go ahead and outline his lips. It's more of a pinkish tone. Maybe about like right there. I'll put it up here. I just want to make sure I've got that color. There we go. Down and dirty. Got to be on his layer. And just kind of draw what you see or how you feel. And I do want more of a pinkish tone. Kind of emulate lips. You can create another layer in between for the teeth, and you can define those later. Let's see. Let's see. Crap! I gotta get going. All right. But I would just go ahead and style the eyes. Oops. Use the outline. Use maybe a dark brown or the brown that's around it. Could use black. I'm just going really fast. Alrighty. Now I don't have to keep what I see right here. His eyebrows are probably not going to be that far in. And I'm just using the brush tool. Sorry, hair brush tool, the fine hair brush tool, making his eyebrows just down and dirty. And I could make them come together. And then, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and merge his face with all of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the liquify tool, and I'm going to bring the corners of his mouth up. And then I'm just kind of blend the colors that are around here. Or let's take some other colors, come around, change my brush though. Let's see, we'll use the skin brush. Okay, man, I wish I gave myself more time. Okay, so I'll finish this tomorrow. Because I gotta go to work. Work doth beckon. But this is how you can use Artpose Pro and Procreate together to create quick characters. Bring that down a little bit and get alright. And then I can just gonna do. Oh shoot. Okay, time to go. Sorry about that, you guys. But yeah, that is going to be one of the characters.
Paciencia, paciencia, paciencia. Bueno, ya son las 7 de la mañana con 39 minutos.
Yeah. And then I could just take my liquify tool and just kind of manipulate. Whoops. Not like that though. It's like, leave, Kim, leave. You know you have to leave. Alrighty, so if you guys want to see the rest of this, what it turns out to be, just like and subscribe, and you can catch the next video, and I will see you in the next video. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and ta-ta. Like and subscribe.